fact, you know, you couldn't stay away from us because we continuously talk.
And you gave the appropriate website address as well. It is abc.com. You can find The View that way, or abc.com/The View.
Yeah, that's how you... Well, the people who are watching us now, they know that already.
I know they do. I just wanted to give you kudos. You were right.
I was, right? Yeah.
You're right. You're always... You're like 99% of the time.
She always says, you know, Raven goes, you right. So now Steve and I are constantly saying that to each other.
You know where that story came from?
Me too.
Can I tell you where that story? Yeah. Christopher, don't get mad at me. So, a friend of mine, I'm just going to say you're a friend of mine, he goes to work, but he's late. And the manager comes up to him and is like, you can't be late to work. This is unprofessional. And he goes, you right.
Christopher's your friend?
We'll just say, I'm not going to get him in trouble. So, yeah, and then that's how it started.
It dissipates the rage. Very good.
He was in the wrong. You right.
See, when we were talking today about... When we were talking about Donald Trump today, remember? And the guy goes, you're boring. He should have gone, you right. Right? Yes. What it really... You right.
You right. That's a great reaction.
So, I was on a cruise recently. Oh, yes.
Over the holidays?
Over the holidays. On one of the most gigantic boats I've ever seen. And walking around half naked with the men. They were naked. A lot of them needed a man's ear. You know what I'm saying?
A man's ear. A Brazil's ear.
Yeah, or they call them a bro. They could have used a bro.
A bro?
But they didn't care. You know, the love handles can be on the floor. Then I'm naked and I'm gorgeous. They do not care the way women care about their bodies. I mean, do you remember? I showed it on the air already. I'll show you what I looked like at the beach.
You looked beautiful.
Okay, that's where I... Look at that picture.
You forgot your swimsuit. What? You forgot your swimsuit, and you went on a cruise.
One-piece bra and pajama bottoms, okay? So, but anyway, there's a recent survey that pretty much confirms what we think, that men like their bodies more than women. It's what do you think?
I just think it's how we're wired, unfortunately, and I wish we wouldn't internalize it.
I'm also being in the entertainment world and the athlete world. I know a lot of men that really care about their bodies and how they
look. If you're a model or an actor, but the average person.
But I think a lot of men that don't have the types of bodies that they would love to have, I just don't think that they share it. I think there's a lot of men that are as insecure as women about their bodies, but they just, because I feel like for them, they may feel like it's shameful to talk about it, that they're not being masculine enough if they talk about it, or something, that there's a stigma attached to it. But I think
they have to care about the bodies because they're the ones in the gym all the time. If they weren't in the gym, then they wouldn't care.
I guess I'm from a different generation.
I think it's different. I think women are just, I think innately a little bit, and it's not to, I totally see where you're coming from, but I think women, just by our gender and in terms of the way that we're wired, we internalize things. We're much more insecure about our bodies. That doesn't mean that we're insecure individuals, but I just think
we talk about it a lot more than men. I think the men have a lot of the same issues.
You don't feel it? I mean, you've never walked out of the bedroom backwards?
So I can look at my gray butt?
No, so that he can't see you're behind.
Well, there's some men that have sex and keep their shirts on or their socks on or whatever they keep on because they feel that kind of way. They feel an insecurity.
That's attractive. Socks while you're having sex?
It's cold.
Oh, I'm aroused.
Joy, it's cold.
Okay. And when you ask your husband when you ask your husband to be honest, like, we really don't want you to be honest with us. Tell us that we look really good in those jeans.
Yes.
So when I say, does my butt look big? Yes, because then I'll say, be honest, and then he'll be honest, and then I'll feel horrible.
You know these new Viagra commercials where the woman is like, hey, 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 and then she tells you, a lot of men they can't. You know that commercial,
Is this the one where she's wearing a jersey, like a sports jersey?
And she's basically turning guys on.
Yes.
And then telling them you need medication. But one of the things she says is the side effect is a loss of hearing or vision. See, I consider that a plus. That is not a negative. Maybe it's my age. Let me ask you something else. Let me ask you guys, a new business is saying that you can save money if you are willing to share a hotel room with somebody you don't know.
What?
Would you do it?
No.
Now, you girls can afford it. You don't need it. But let's say back in the day when you were poor. Do you remember?
First of all, before you put us in a separate category, I'm sure everybody up here will take a deal. I'm sure that we're not just going to dish out $500 for a hotel room. We can dish that out on something else.
All right,
yeah,
fair enough.
I just booked my trip to Orlando on Expedia. Come on, we like a deal.
But I'm not going to share a hotel room with a stranger.
And especially because the parameters of this, Joy, there are like no parameters. You guys,
there's movies about that. You don't do that.
That was another thing my dad taught me. Don't walk at night by yourself. Don't share a hotel room with a stranger.
And especially one where there's no background check. And the company says it's no different than Airbnb. I am certainly not going to share a hotel room with somebody that hasn't had a background check.
It's skeevy. The whole thing is skeevy to me.
It's really interesting.
Like some strange person in the thing there now. It's bad enough you have to worry about bed bugs these days, much less a guy.
And whatever else is in that bed.
Should we ask Brian if he would ever share a hotel room with someone?
Let's ask Brian. Raise your hand if you would do it, Brian.
Would I share a hotel room with somebody? No.
Okay, Brian says
I have
no.
enough trouble getting my wife to share a hotel room with me.
See how funny he is? Okay, I would like applause from the audience if you would share a room with a stranger because to save $500. Clap.
Okay, wait, she said yes, but how old are you?
Just clap so we can hear you.
She's 22. No offense, but we have to put it in age.
Do you think maybe you'll meet a guy that way? Is that...
Hopefully not. That's not how I want to meet a guy.
Yeah.
But I would, to save money.
I mean, it could be Ted Bundy, okay? Just saying.
Or
Look it up.
We're also going right to the opposite sex sharing a room. What if, if it was another girl that I was able to be like, yes, then I wouldn't have a problem with
Fatal
it.
attraction.
A fatal attraction, or if it was like a gay boy, I'm not tripping over too much. If I could choose the person that I'm going into, because they say that humans have a great sense of I can just look at your face and tell you if you're a liar, if I feel uncomfortable. Intuition, yes. I just feel like if we were able to choose, I wouldn't mind it.
Right. Okay.
No, she's
All right.
still not down for that.
All right, listen to this one.
I would share a room with all of you.
Aw, you're so good.
I get the bathroom first.
What do you mean you would? You have. Oh.
Joy, don't out us, okay?
Listen to this. If you happen to have given birth to a house full of rodents, this study is for you because a new study of mice says that spoiling your offspring, spoiling them, will make them better children, better. It works on human children, possibly.
Because it works on mice, it should work on humans.
Yeah.
But this is the genesis. They say it's a study from the University of Manchester. They studied mice and found that mice that begged for nurturing, i.e. nursing, nest building, negativity affected themselves and their parents. But that's not, you can't spoil a kid with too much love. Spoiling is like buying them a car and spoiling them with material things.
You can spoil somebody with too much love because if you do it and then you,
so.
hold on, if you do it and then you finally do something that you're not proud of and you show anger or negative emotions, they're not going to understand how to handle it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like if you coddle somebody too much, and then they're like,
not
"Why are you
coddling,
being
though.
mean?"
She's talking.
We're talking. This is nurturing though, and nursing and nest building. I don't think you can ever over nurture your children. I don't have. Thank you for the disclaimer.
Big difference between nurturing and spoiling.
Yes, huge.
Yeah, there is a huge difference.
Because I don't want to spoil my kids. I don't intentionally want to raise entitled children that think they deserve everything because I've given them everything. I want them to earn all of that, but I want to know that I want them to know that they're loved by me. I want to nurture them.
A grandmother does that. I do that for my grandson, Luca. And I said to him recently, he said, can I have $10? I said, have I ever said no? He said no. So there you go.
I think too,
but
like
parents should do that. Grandparents should do that.
My daughter's like, don't give it to him. Stop with the thing. And I'm not. I'm giving it to him.
Since I was 3, I spoiled myself.
There you go.
So I don't know what that's like.
My sister gives me grief. My sister gives me grief because, you know, he just turned 2 and he drinks out of a sippy cup for everything else, but he still likes his milk, just his milk, out of a bottle. He
Is
does
this
it twice
the kid
a
that
day.
was blowing out the candles?
Yes. And I'm like, you know what? It's something like that. I'm not gonna. My sister thinks it's awful. I'm like, he's eating with a fork and a spoon, but he loves his binky and his blanket.
Oh, it's fine. Leave him alone. Have you ever seen a grown man with a binky and a bottle and a bottle? No. Oh, maybe on that cruise I was on, but other than that. Okay, how about this? Ellie Goulding, you know the singer? How do you say it?
Goulding?
I don't know. It looks like Goulding to me. Anyway, she says that
L-E-G.
All right, whatever. She says that she feels weird because she and her boyfriend are starting to look alike and dress alike. Does that make sense to you? I mean, look at them.
I mean,
wow, they're cute.
Haven't you heard of people that have a dog for too long start looking like their dog?
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing,
true.
right?
I think a lot of couples morph into one another. My husband and I, we didn't really morph into each other. We've always looked like brother and sister.
You guys
We're
are
both, you know,
so adorable.
Blonde hair, blue eyes.
So cute.
So whatever happened to opposites attract? Is that something opposites attract?
Is that opposites in the way you deal in situations or?
They just say like, you know, that's why, you know, you have black guys liking white women and vice versa, and Jewish and Christian, etc. you know.
I think it might be more
where did you-
personality,
where
like
did you grow up?
where did I grow up?
Where did you grow up?
I'm a Valley girl, LA, like
a Valley
tall,
girl.
raised
Okay,
Valley
here's a girl who was raised in the Valley and marries a Russian guy. That's opposite, even if she
Yes,
looks
I would
like
say
him.
in some personality ways, opposites do attract.
Yeah.
So it's the yin and the yang. They kind of balance each other out. You know, you complete me.
Yeah.
Um,
They say
my husband
opposites
and I-
attract. They say opposites attract, but then they can destroy too. And they can. My husband and I would say, are like our personalities,
Yeah.
in terms of our upbringing, very similar, but our personalities are very, very.
I
very
once
opposite.
went out with a guy, we were totally opposite. He was mute, I like to talk. For example.
what about you?
Maybe he just couldn't get a word in.
Have you ever
Oh,
morphed-
that could be Paula.
Raven, have you morphed into?
I morphed, not physically or whatever, because I could never get as skinny as the people that I've been with. But I've definitely shared closets and then took people's style choices, because I think that I was attracted to them, and then if we don't make it in our relationship, I still have some kind of connection. And
You stole
Did
their
you-
clothing?
Did you like to match them, like Brittany and Justin?
It's
I
not
think we have a
stealing if she
picture
tells- if
of
she
Brittany and
admits to
Justin.
it.
Was it like this? Like, did you want to match, so you stole some of their clothes?
Brittany. Oh, wow.
And then, I love that.
Or Brad and Gwyneth. Was it like Brad and Gwyneth too?
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Brad and
Look at
Gwyneth.
that.
Look like the same person.
They
though.
are the
Oh,
same
let's see
person.
that. Oh, yeah.
I'd
They
rather
look
see-
like
Yeah,
David
it
Bowie,
happens.
the late great David
Oh,
Bowie.
David Bowie. I'd
Yeah.
rather see a pug and his owner. Then I'd be like, let's go morphing, because that's what that's.
But they're
I'm
not
into
that
dogs.
couple.
look like
They're
their
not a
dogs.
couple. Why are they up there?
I don't know.
Because they
When they were dating, they morphed into one another.
oh.
Brad bleached his hair blonde, and then he looked just
Definitely
like
can't look like Angelina, so that's not
My
what happened.
husband and I don't think our styles are the same. I literally think we look very similar. Like,
That's
we're
really-
both
I
we're
don't-
both tall. That's not us, but maybe
Yeah.
But we're both tall. We both have big eyes and brown hair. And people have asked us if we were brother and sister. In fact, John and I, my husband and I, went out with his sister, and people thought that his sister was his wife and I was his sister.
Or is it because you're always spending so much time together that people can't differentiate the faces? It could be more scientific
We
than
don't
just
have
one.
that in my family. I wear the Spanx in my family. Thanks for hanging around with us after The View, and don't forget to hit us up on Twitter and Facebook. See you tomorrow.